Hi everyone, it's Ash from FPL Hints, here with an update ahead of match day 9, also known as the first leg of the quarterfinals. Before we get into it, if you're able to like, share and subscribe, that will be greatly appreciated. With the quarterfinal stage, again, for those that don't know, I am fairly new to UCL Fantasy as an engaged manager. My forte and focus is normally on Fantasy Premier League. So my understanding is that at this stage, I've got 5 free transfers at hand, almost like a mini wildcard, you could say. So I've got an idea on the kind of moves that I want to make and the kind of players that I want, and it's centered really on some of these key stats here. So in terms of like goals, you can see it. Mbappe is right there at the top, joint goal scorer alongside Kane, Griezmann and Haaland. Of course, you can't have them all, and especially with Mbappe, Kane and Haaland, it's a very difficult fit in the team. And then you look at the number of assists as well. Of course, Aguilino is no longer featuring in the later stages. Still got Saka, Bellingham, Rafinha and Kane who've chipped in with assists as well. But something that isn't really the case in FPL that is actually applicable in UCL Fantasy is some of these other defensive metrics that actually factor in to point scoring. So balls recovered, we can see that Hummels is well clear of any other defender, and all of those contribute to his points tally, which I'm going to show later on. So that is certainly food for thought. I know that when you look at the odds in terms of who are the favourites to win the Champions League, Dortmund don't really feature at all. But right now, it's more about the individual players that can add value to my team and can help me get points. So Hummels is someone that I'm definitely going to consider purely for this metric alone of balls recovered. I think he's got like 22 balls recovered in the last 2 games alone, which has massively contributed to his points tally. And it may very well be that they might crash out against Atletico Madrid in the quarterfinals, but then he might chip in with points without even keeping a clean sheet. So I'll show how that will be the case with my own team if I can factor him in. We've got Arsenal and Bayern Munich, Real Madrid and Man City in the first set of fixtures on Tuesday, and then we've got Paris Saint-Germain and Barcelona, followed by Atletico Madrid and Dortmund. And as it stands with the bus team, I've got Kane as my captain, got Haaland and Rodrigo as well, with Bellingham, De Bruyne, Foden and Saka. Nacho, Hernandez and Kim make up the back line, with Romero, who is the placeholder goalkeeper, albeit I'll need to shift him out due to him no longer being available. Lunin, Hakimi, Zaire Emery make up the bench alongside Ake, and I'd probably need to start Ake if I was to retain him because Man City have the Tuesday fixture. So that's where we're at right now. And if I want to really unlock funds, I'm going to need to take significant risks. Had a very dark red arrow last time out. I'm hoping there won't be massive rotation in the first leg. No doubt there might be in the second leg if some teams win comfortably in these set of games. So what I'm actually going to do is potentially look at selling Saka. And one of the things that really caught my eye, of course, Saka his form hasn't been that great of late. I think that penalty against Brighton was his first goal in like 4 or 5 games. And I saw this interesting tweet actually after the game, whereby it said that in terms of his fitness, he was struggling, but he's still willing to like carry on because it's a very crucial stage of the season for Arsenal as they're vying for both the Premier League and also the Champions League, that they're in contention in that. And the quote verbatim is, "I just want to be on the pitch." So from my perspective, if he isn't fully fit and if there's a risk of his minutes being managed, I'm willing to look at alternatives there. And it is a bit of a risk that if I was to potentially get rid of him. But in terms of the transfers that I'm looking at right now, So I'm just going to flick to my transfer screen here. So I want to get rid of Rodrigo. I feel with him, due to other players being available for Real Madrid, he's no longer a viable option for me, and his form has completely dipped off for Real Madrid in the Champions League. Hasn't done much since match day 6. So for now, out he goes. I'm going to risk also removing Saka as well, due to the reasons I've just mentioned. Hakimi, who should be available for the second leg, provided after the suspension that he's fit, but I'm going to get rid of him as well. And I'm also going to do a swap with my goalkeepers, so Romero, who's no longer available, and then Lunin, because I feel that Man City are almost certainly going to score in both legs. So Mbappe is the missing piece of the jigsaw in that front line, that power attack. So I finally got them in for now, Kane, Haaland, and Mbappe. But then I'm going to have to downsize Saka. And the one player who I'm willing to look at is an Arsenal player. And I'm just going to bring him up here. Just apply all the filters. It's a bit of a maverick pick, you could say, but it's Trossard. With Trossard, 7.5 million. Of course, didn't really feature much in the first 3 games. But then, interestingly enough, in match day 6, played full game. Match day 7, he started, albeit didn't do much. And then match day 8, he played the vast majority of the game into extra time, and he also scored a goal. And interestingly enough, he had managed minutes against Brighton, so I'm willing to take that risk on him if it allows me to unlock funds elsewhere in my team. So the other player I'm going to just bring up here, I mentioned Matt Hummels and that interesting stat on ball recovery, which isn't really an FPL metric. You don't score points that way. But for Dortmund in particular, if I just bring this up, apply the filters, let's get the points up, there he is. So Matt Hummels, and I mentioned, I think it was something like 22 ball recoveries in the last 2 games. So just bring this up. So 12 in the last game, got him 4 points. And then 10 in the previous one, that's 3 points there. Another 10 balls recovered in match day 6. It's 3 points there. Look at that, 10 points in the last 3 games have just come from ball recoveries. 11 balls recovered in match day 5, another 3 points. 13 points, 16 points, and then 0 points in that first, in match day 3. So for me, that is a no-nonsense pick. Will Atletico Madrid score against Dortmund? Probably. Will they dump Dortmund out in the quarterfinals? Probably, looking at the odds. But just on that metric alone, and in terms of his percentage, 12% owned, that really surprised me. I thought it'd be much higher. I've got no doubt that will bump up as the deadline for match day 9 draws near. But that balls recovery metric, which I showed earlier, it's literally for that reason alone that I'm willing to get him in. So that leaves me with £10 million to spend on goalies. And really, it's slim pickings, to be honest with you, with those options. But I'm going to go for Kobel, and I'll go for David Raya as well, literally because I've mentioned with Lunin, I want to upgrade him. Real Madrid could still potentially beat Man City. I just don't see any clean sheets in either of those fixtures. But David Raya against Bayern, again, no real clean sheet options there. Kobel, if I just go down, he has kept a few clean sheets in fairness in match day 8 and match day 5, where he didn't keep a clean sheet but got an 8-point haul. Kept a clean sheet against Newcastle United in both fixtures as well. So there is a clean sheet prowess with him as well. So the sacrifice is Saka, but it allows me to have that power attack. It allows me to have Bellingham, De Bruyne, Foden as well. So I've got the exact funds. I'm going to do this move now. before the prices change. So I've got 5 transfers in the offing. Out goes Rodrigo, in comes Mbappe. Saka goes out reluctantly, in comes Trossard. Romero and Lunin go out, in come Kobel and Raya. And Hakimi goes out, and in comes Matt Hummels. So I'm going to confirm the transfers. There we go. So I'll just set up my team now. So in terms of captaincy for match day 9 Tuesday, I'll probably stick with Harry Kane. I know he's got a good goal scoring record against Arsenal historically, albeit in the Premier League. So the PSG players that I've got, I will bench them. So Hernandez will go to the bench, and I'll put on Ake. No idea if Ake is going to start or not, but because he is playing on the Tuesday, it makes sense to have him there. And of course, Hummels will be on the bench for now because he's playing on the Wednesday, and Kobel as well. So just going to confirm those changes now. So strikers, Kane, Haaland, and Mbappe. I've managed to make it work, getting all 3 in finally. I think the last time I even had them in a starting lineup was during my first draft, and it just seemed too lopsided then. Onto the midfield, I've got Bellingham, De Bruyne, Trossard, and Foden. I know that Trossard is a differential, somewhat of an out-of-the-box Maverick pick, but it has to be done. Onto the defenders, Nacho, Ake, and Kim. And then in goal, David Raya for the Tuesday match. And the bench, Kobel, Hummels, Zaire Emery, and Hernandez. So there you have it. That is my team for match day 9. Let me know in the comments below what you think. Have you got the same strike force? Do you agree with my logic with getting Matt Hummels in? Should I have considered the odds that say that Dortmund are going to get dumped out in the quarterfinals? So yeah, it is what it is, but I'm fairly happy with how the balance is. It just makes sense to take considerably more risks in match day 9. I've got nothing to lose, and here's hoping for the best. As always, if you're able to like, share, and subscribe, that will be greatly appreciated. Take care and all the best. Thank you. Bye.